I'm Frank Daly and welcome to That Sounds Interesting podcast. In this episode, I'm looking at what happened in 1985. It was the year that Mikhail Gorbachev became leader of the Soviet Union, and over the next few years he introduced reforms to the Communist Party. He was the last leader of the USSR before it eventually dissolved in 1991. His focus was on openness, which was called glasnost, and restructuring, which was called perestroika, reducing nuclear weapons stockpiles and bringing the Cold War to an end. Ronald Reagan, a former Hollywood actor, was the President of the United States from 1981 until 1989. And in 1985, after being re-elected for a second term, he held a nuclear disarmament conference with Gorbachev later in that year, and further conferences in the following years, which resulted in the INF Treaty, where both sides agreed to reduce stockpiles of nuclear arms. However, they still had more than enough nuclear weapons to annihilate mankind. It's interesting to note, though, that Reagan made the speech in 1987 in Berlin at the Berlin Wall, challenging Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall, and within 2 years that's exactly what happened. 1985 was right in the middle of Margaret Thatcher's reign as the UK Prime Minister. Known as the Iron Lady for her determination and domineering personality, she privatised all the nationalised industries, crushed the strong unions, closed down mining and steel industries throughout the country, fought a war to keep the Falkland Islands situated off Argentina despite it being on the other side of the planet, and was strongly opposed to further integration with the EU. She also narrowly avoided being killed in the IRA Brighton bomb in 1984. Her monetarist policies had huge impact on manufacturing and resulted in a significant increase in UK unemployment to more than 2 million. 1985 was the year when the AIDS virus continued to spread across the globe with devastating consequences, initially affecting gay communities, but by the late 80s it was potentially affecting everyone. It took 7 years to get FDA approval for the drug AZT, and even then it cost $17,000 per year for each person. It was more than 10 years before a set of medications was commonly available to prevent deaths and allow those infected to manage the condition. In comparison, 35 years later, in 2021, it has taken 1 year to develop a test and approve numerous vaccines against the COVID-19 virus and begin mass worldwide vaccinations against the virus. However, it is notable that the vaccinations appear to be focused on the richer economies at the moment. In music in 1985, Bob Geldof, the Irish musician and philanthropist, organised the Live Aid concerts, which raised more than $100 million to support starving millions in Africa. The most popular music artists in 1985 included Madonna with Like a Virgin, Wham featuring George Michael with Careless Whisper, Foreigner with I Want to Know What Love Is, Hall & Oates with Out of Touch, and Tears for Fears with Everybody Wants to Rule the World. In the Oscars, Amadeus won 8 awards, including Best Film and Best Actor for F. Murray Abraham. Sally Field won Best Actress for Places in the Heart. But the star film of 1985 has to be the first Back to the Future movie, which was released in the middle of the year and became the most successful film of 1985, catapulting Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly into superstardom. The Greenpeace flagship Rainbow Warrior was sunk in Auckland by French intelligence services to prevent the ship from taking part in protests and interfering with the planned French nuclear tests in the southern hemisphere. The French agents were captured and sentenced to 10 years in prison, and the New Zealand government referred to the incident as state-sponsored terrorism. Eventually, under international pressure in 1987, France paid $8.7 million to Greenpeace. The first mobile phone call was made in the UK in January 1985. However, the technology had been around for a while, and the first mobile demonstration was in 1973, 12 years earlier, by Motorola using a massive brick phone which weighed more than 2 kilograms. And now, 35 years later, in 2021, half of the world's population has a smartphone, and it's quite likely you're listening to or viewing this podcast on it. Steve Jobs was fired from Apple in 1985 by John Sculley, the CEO at that time, but he returned again to run the company in 1997. One of his famous quotes is, "You go to your TV when you want to turn off your brain. You go to your computer when you want to turn on your brain." I'd like to add to that quote, to turn off your brain again, you go to your iPhone and start scrolling on Facebook. The world population in 1985 was 4.8 billion, more than half of which were in Asia. The population had expanded from 3 billion in 1960 to nearly 5 billion in only 15 years. Well-known people who were born in 1985 include Cristiano Ronaldo, the world-famous Portuguese footballer; Rooney Mara, the American actress who starred in the film The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo; and Kaylee Cuoco, the American actress and star of the Big Bang Theory TV series. Okay, that's it for this episode. I'll be back soon with a new episode, so please subscribe. See you soon.